Hey everybody, this is Carl. I am back with another TV show spoiler review. And we're beginning the Halloween season theme review month with Wednesday, Netflix Wednesday show season 1. They have renewed it for a season 2 way back earlier in January. So a little factoid here that the main actress Jenna Ortega, who this being her breakout role, because she did act in other stuff, I imagine, but this is one to really put her on the map. This has of course been written and directed by Tim Burton, my number one favorite director of all time, somebody like I hope to act for in any movie project he has, because man, like, been my favorite director for a long time. Like, I love a lot of his material. Jenna Ortega, from I remember way earlier in the spring, there was a news feed that reported that she's been like in a little tit for tat with the writers of the show, because how like things ended with everything. The writers want to lean more into the whole romance thing, like it's a freaking CW show for Wednesday Addams. And Jenna Ortega, God bless her, did not care for that, because she points out like that's just not her, that's not the character. She's, not, focused on that. And it's not like she, wouldn't be, into it. It's not like we didn't see from Addams Family Values, which I did review the first 2 Addams Family movies last year. So you can check that out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl, which, by the way, follow me in the links in the description below. And like and share this with your friends. But yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, it's not like we haven't seen Wednesday be into a guy in her own morbid way, but she's not thirsting for it. And it seems like the writers want her to lean hard into, liking a guy and everything like that. It's like she's not Morticia. She's not like fawning over her significant others, not her speed. And if you know anything about the Addams Family, that would make sense. So I'm not sure like how that all turned out between her and the writers, but given the fact that she's not like a big deal, she has the pull to like say to the writers, hey, like, I'm not cool with this part of for the character. And she has the weight to throw around and saying like, nah, like, I'll fight you on this. But if they was gonna go, see, it's a funny thing here, because I remember bringing it up to some friends where it's like, when you're signing somebody on to a project who is relatively unknown or just not known at all, then when they sign on to a project, put into the contract where it's like, hey, once you sign on, at any point along the line, we have reserve the right to change up the character or whatever at any point, and that way, hey, the actors, no matter how big they get, they cannot say shit to you. They'll just have to suck it up, or wait until their contract is up and move on and find somebody else who's on. That's just like, devil's advocate on that kind of part. But I'm on the side of Jenna Ortega. It's just like, that's not cool. Especially if it's like a well-known character that has a particular speed that you need to stick to that. But anyway, but I want to point out right away my issue with the show. It's a small issue. I still enjoy this show, but And when they announced this and we got the premise of the show, I kind of rolled my eyes only to the fact that, oh, she's going to not only she's going to a school that's very Harry Potter-esque, but also she's trying to solve a murder mystery. And it's like, so you turn the Addams Family into Harry Potter meets Scooby-Doo. And it's supposed to be like a coming of age story. And it's not like you can't have that, but sorry, I'm moving my mic. But it's just, every time these coming of age stories, you always gotta make it Harry Potter-esque. And it's like, and then giving Wednesday some kind of supernatural gift where she gets visions, and it's like, you know, yeah, you can, I can gloss over that because, you know, this is like a different interpretation of the Addams Family. But it's just every coming of age story, this, you either doing some Goonies with the Stranger Things or Harry Potter. It's one of those two things, and it seems like that's the only coming of age story that you can come up with. And it's like it's getting dull, and I can't help but roll my eyes at it. And it's kind of wish people like, you know, it's starting to become a cliche in and of itself. And it's like you can't tell like a coming of age story where she can just be at home with that stuff. And then my other nitpick here is a tiny one compared to the others, but as much as I love Wednesday, she is just it's just like almost, well, she's kind of like the go-to goth girl of all time, but it seems like it's easy. It seems a little easy with this character. It's like almost any writer can work with somebody like, you know, Wednesday Addams, because it's a typical goth girl and you can go from there. I say like it'll be a little bit more a challenge for Tim Burton if you had made it more about Pugsley, because of course Wednesday's the more popular character among the Addams Family roster, but Pugsley, you know, doesn't always get like the limelight. He almost, not always, because he's, you know, there are times where he's like neck and neck with Wednesday, but there are other times where he seems like he's under her shadow because she's a little bit more of a dominant personality. So it makes sense, but it'll be a little bit more of a good challenge, and how much cool it would be where it's like, you know, Wednesday gets a lot of love, but let's focus on Pugsley and work with that. And like, oh, and people get a more appreciation for Pugsley than they probably had before, whereas like he's not playing second fiddle to his sister. He has his own, you know, wants and, you know, desires, and, you know, his own agency. And it's like, you know, he could have just, you know, make it like a Pugsley show. It's like, oh wow. I'm pretty sure there would have been complaints of like, let's make it like a Wednesday show. It's, you know, she's, you know, everybody likes Wednesday. Yeah, but Pugsley's cool too. Like all the family members of the Addams Family are dope as hell. You can find something that you can like about each character. Thing, Cousin It, Uncle Fester, you know, of course Gomez and Morticia, who's like the, you know, go-to like ideal couple goals, in my opinion. And of course Grandmama is pretty fun too. But, you know, I think like Pugsley, in my opinion, feels like got the short end of the stick of favoritism among the roster. That's just my opinion. But while I'm on the subject of Pugsley, here's one of my other gripes of the show that I point out. They made Pugsley in the show such a chump. And that galls me, because if you watch the previous Addams Family movies from the 90s, or almost any other cartoon or comic based on the Addams Family, Pugsley is just as twisted as his sister. Of course, sure, he usually falls along. She's a little bit more of the dominant personality, but he's just as twisted as her. And they made him, in this interpretation, so sheepish. And of course, he still got those, morbid mannerisms as typical in the Addams family, like throwing a grenade into the ocean so he can fish like his father, or doing weird stuff. Sure, but in the pilot, you see him getting bullied by a bunch of jocks, and Wednesday has to come in and throw, of course, a bunch of piranhas into the swimming pool where they're practicing in, which is totally Wednesday. But it's just, I could definitely see Pugsley doing that too. And it's just like, why you made Pugsley such a punk? It's just, it bothers me. He's one of those members of the Addams family, don't take no crap from nobody if push comes to shove. And it's like, he should not be protected by his sister. He can, in many other interpretations, he would have probably done far worse. Probably throw like a electric car battery or something into the pool or something. And those things, it's like, I want to get those gripes out the way and, just make the point about what, bugged me about the show. And I kind of hope in season 2, they kind of do switch gears with certain things, like, I don't know. I think we're done with Nevermore, to be perfectly honest. I don't really want to deal with this whole Hogwarts BS, but I also want them to switch gears with Pugsley and make him, give him more agency and make him a little terror in his own right. But anyway, after the incident with, putting piranhas in the swimming pool to get back at those bullies, Wednesday is sent to Nevermore Academy, where Morticia and Gomez went in their younger years, where it's pretty much like Hogwarts school for outcasts and misfits. Where it's like, yeah, like all these supernatural characters like sirens, werewolves, some kids with no faces for some reason. The head mistress is like a shapeshifter, etc. And vampires and etc. And it's like, okay, why didn't you send your kids to this particular school where they're more inclined to get along with certain people that is maybe not as morbid and twisted as the Addams family are typical to being, but it's not all that strange to them. It's just, why give them to go to a public school in the first doggone place where kids would not be, teasing them for crazy crap? I don't know. That's just weird. That should have been like, if there's this school that you grew up liking, and you get kids, when it gets to a certain age, send them to the school immediately, so they can have their little education and won't feel bullied or weird. Seems odd, just to get the ball rolling. But she's sent to this school, and she has court-ordered therapy. She has to visit a couple times a week. Oh, let me go over the actors. Of course, like I said, Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams. You got Gwendolyn Christie as head mistress Larissa Weems. Ricky Lindholm as Dr. Valerie Kinbot, the therapist. Jamie McShane as Donovan Galpin, the sheriff of this small town near Nevermore, which is kind of like the local town full of muggles, you put it that way. Hunter Duhan as the son of the sheriff. and the barista at the coffee shop. Percy Hines White as Xavier Thorpe, who's Tyler and Xavier are like the two primarily possible love interests for Wednesday, and Xavier is a student who can make his art come to life. Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair, who's a very like not she's from California, but it's kind of like one of those typical California girls who's also a werewolf, but she can't fully transform. She's kind of like a late bloomer, but of course at the last episode she does manage to change. And she has this little issues with her family, with more particular her mother, because she's trying to like, eventually think about sending her daughter to, it's kind of like one of those gay conversion camps, but in this case it's one of those camps where they send the late bloomer werewolf kids to try to get them to transform, because if you reach a certain age and you haven't transformed, then you're out from the pack and you're live a life of solitude and you'll probably die alone. So they're trying to avoid that for their kid. But the father seems to not say much and just let his mom just talk so much crap and kind of dismiss their daughter's feelings, and he just says nothing. But he's a doting father, but it's just like, dude, say something. The mom is kind of bugging. Anyway, you got Joy Sunday playing Bianca Barclay, a the popular kid in school, the ex-girlfriend of Xavier and the siren. Georgie Farmer as Ajax Petropoulos, a Gorgon student, and a crush that the person who Enid has a crush on. Naomi J. Agawa as Yoko Tanaka, vampire student. I got Christina Ricci, the selling, the high point selling of this show, the classic Wednesday Addams, playing Marilyn Thornhill, the botany teacher of Nevermore Academy, and the dorm mother of Wednesday and Enid. And Enid and Wednesday are bunkmates. We got Victor Dorobantu as Thing. Tommy Earl Jenkins as Noble Walker, the mayor. Then we got Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Morticia Addams. And I'm going to say right here two things. One, Catherine Zeta-Jones is aging flawlessly. Oh my God. I did a review earlier in July during the Independence Day review month, and was covering National Treasure movie and TV show, and she's in the TV show, and she was playing like one of the antagonists there, and I mentioned in that review, oh my God, she looks fantastic. But in here, secondly, it's not like she was a bad choice. It was just that I don't buy her as Morticia fully. It seems like Catherine Zeta-Jones in a Halloween costume playing Morticia Addams, if that makes sense. It's just like I don't. It's a Halloween costume. Maybe it's one of those moments where it's like somebody's A-list stardom is a detriment to them, because I can't buy the character because all I'm seeing is Catherine Zeta-Jones. Unfortunately, it's kind of like, how like almost every actor who plays Superman, it's just like most of the time they're relatively unknown, or just having maybe 1 or 2 movie credits or play credits underneath their belt. And it's like, because they're so relatively unknown and it's probably the first time you've seen them in anything, you can only see the character, you don't see the actor playing the character. And that's what I'm getting from Catherine Zeta-Jones, because he's such a megastar, I cannot buy her playing a well-known character. If this wasn't like a well-known character, then of course I'll be more inclined to buy, oh, she's embodying this new character I never heard of. But since I know Morticia Addams, everybody knows Morticia Addams is one of the classic couple theme Halloween costumes ever known. And it's just like, I'm just seeing Catherine Zeta-Jones just playing Morticia instead of being Morticia. Then you got Luis Guzman playing Gomez Addams, and of course he got a lot of crap given the fact that, because maybe, well, not only the hair is kind of threw me off more than anything. I can't buy I know it's directly from like those old comic strips, but it's so stupid looking. But I also think that from the Raul crap, Raul, I'm blanking on his last name, from the 90s TV show, crap, what's his doggone name? Raul Julia. Maybe because we got so spoiled by John Ashton, who was the first person to play Gomez Addams in the 60s. But during the 90s, Raul Julia, who did an incredible job playing as Gomez Addams, it's just like, there's a little bit more suave and gravitas when, especially Raul, when he did it, he got, and of course, like, I think we kind of lean in most cases that the Addams family hails from some kind of Hispanic background in a way, or Spanish background in a way. I think that's kind of like a right way to leaning towards it. But it's just Raul Julia embodied Gomez in a particular way that I guess we kind of got spoiled on. And that's, when you think about it, he's when you think about Gomez Addams, he's the first person a lot of people think of. And it's kind of like, you know, it's hard to get out of that shadow. It's kind of the same way with like Christopher Reeve's Superman. It's like, it's hard to top a particular performance. And he did an alright job. So it's like, I'm just not knocking it, but it's just like, I just don't see him as my personal like Gomez. He didn't like do anything to kind of, he's a character actor, yeah, I get it, but it's just like, I don't see him like doing something uniquely different for this character to make him like a huge standout. You got Isaac Ordonez as Pugsley Addams, George Burka as Lurch. I almost forgot about Lurch. He's an incredible character in his own right. And Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester. And Fred Armisen is like a well known from like SNL, I believe. That's the like, I see him in that, and the only other stuff I see him in was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He popped up a couple of times throughout that series. And not to say that only like Christopher Lloyd can do Uncle Fester right, but it's just that the way he did it, not that it was bad, but it's just like, I don't know, the voice I can't get behind. And I kind of wish he was a little bit more pudgier. Not that I need him to be obese or anything like that, but you know, Uncle Fester kind of have a gut. And he talks like this, and it's like, hi, Wednesday, yeah, and it's like that voice. I cannot get behind that freaking voice. I think like maybe just because Christopher Lloyd has a particular unique style of talking from anybody else, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just like I can't get behind that wheezy nasally voice. It's kind of weird. Uh, uh, but it's alright. I kind of wish he kind of interacted with the rest of the, family when they popped up a couple of times in the season one. But anyway, those are the major players. So they, the family brings Wednesday to the academy. They meet Enid. She showed Wednesday around, and you see like Wednesday and Morticia has this kind of like static between each other. And every time when like these characters, enjoy these morbid kind of stuff, they get off on it. It always puts. It's so fun. I don't know why. It's just like it's just God, it's just certain lines I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's one thing before when they drop her off and they're about to leave, and Wednesday says something nasty towards her mother, and Morticia points out, it's like, I heard that girls your age usually say something nasty, but I was also told like I should never take it to heart. And she says something like, that would be morbidly like upsetting. But then, Morticia just smiles like, that's my daughter. And it's like I like it. It's just like, I love the Addams family, just like their, just morbid sense of thrills. And it's like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I love the Addams family. There's one moment when like Thing is upset with Wednesday, and Wednesday attempts to apologize, and she describes herself how, like, sometimes I let my drive, like, or XYZ thing get in the way, but it's this particular Sting is great as writers, because he's a writer here. She likes to write novels and stuff, and Thing points out, it's like, yeah, that's great, but also for he's he does these sign languages things, and Wiz is like, yeah, and serial killers, I know. It's like, God, it just cracks me up. Anyway, so Gomez and Morticia leaves Thing behind to look after Wednesday while they're gone. So him and Wednesday's, teaming up to, like, try to help solve this mystery. Where, well, at first Wednesday is trying as she can to figure out a way to escape Nevermore and not be involved and try to follow in the shadow of her mother. She ends up stumbling upon this mysterious creature who will later be called a Hyde, kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, and ends up seemingly, it ends up killing this kid. And now she's trying to figure out what this monster is about. And then she also discovers this weird prophecy, this image of her in silhouette, facing down this ghostly pilgrim looking figure, while Nevermore is burning in the background. And she's trying to figure out, okay, what am I mixed up in? So she's heavily involved into trying to figure this situation out. So you meet these assorted little characters, and all the while these people are like kind of gravitating towards Wednesday. Of course, Bianca is a little spoiled, popular kid, and she has her own little issues with her mom. Doesn't really freaking matter, honestly. I'm pretty sure it'll play out in the second season, but she coming from like a kind of like a cult family kind of situation, and her mom's just super sucked in. But she used to Bianca used to be with Xavier, but they broke up because her being a siren, he didn't like the idea of, or the thought of possibly being manipulated by her siren voice, which is why she wears like a necklace thing that suppresses that to a degree. So that way, when she's talking to somebody, they can like give like a true assessment of their feelings without feeling the thought of possibly being manipulated. So while she's going through these investigations, she run in with a sheriff who has like a vendetta against her father, who was suspected of murder when he was young at the time of, them going to the academy. And his son, he has like a situation, like a static between him and his son, given the fact that, the mom's passed away and he's going to therapy, and the father doesn't want to share with his son. It causes like animosity. He loves his son, but it's just like he's not being open with his son, which is pretty much all he wants, and it causes like animosity between the two. And it kind of plays out later on at the end where it's like, a lot of stuff could have been avoided if the father would have been a little bit more open with his son, sharing the feelings a bit, because it would probably have done wonders. Anyway, it's fun little moments when they trying to like, get Wednesday involved into these school activities. There's like a little boating type of race, and of course, each team based off like a particular Edgar Allan Poe story, which there are statues of Edgar Allan Poe, which is one of my favorite authors of all time. There's like statues everywhere because he's kind of like the ultimate goth guy, or at least like the go-to idol for a lot of goth kids. And I just love the stoicism of Wednesday, because she rarely cracks a smile. But you can tell she's, despite her pushing people away, she still has like, care for certain people that she runs into. Like this one kid named Eugene who can manipulate maybe just bees, because you don't see him like manipulating other animals, but he has a thing for bees, which you don't see him like, because you never know. You think he's just a kid who just into bees. You never know what kind of his unique skill set of what kind of supernatural thing he is. But because when the school was founded, it was founded by a person who was cataloging different type of supernatural creatures. So you don't know until the last episode where Eugene has the ability to manipulate the bees, which I don't know what else animal can he manipulate. Is it just bees or insects or just animals in general? I kind of wish they kind of I guess they kind of seeded that, but I kind of wish you can see more of them like manipulating all insects or something, or he just has a particular fascination with just the bees. Anyway, so she gets and you can see moments when Christina Ricci's character interact with Wednesday, which is kind of, it's always fun. Like personally, Christina Ricci is always going to be my Wednesday, but Jenna Ortega did a phenomenal job. But you see Wednesday befriending people when she's probably not intending to. She typically push people away, but she says she prefers solitude, but she tends to jump into people that she legit do care about, even though she pretends not like she doesn't care. And then there's this like therapist, and I loved her interaction with the therapist. You know, she's at first not inclined to share any feelings with this therapist, but little by little you see a little shred of opening, but it's very, you know, like you trying to pry a door open with Wednesday. But then also when you see like the family, you know, a family kind of therapy session that only Pugsley only said is what he feels, but everybody else is kind of like falls off kind of thing. They're not like oversharers or in tune with, but they got feelings. But then, you know, Gomez and Morticia are probably like really over feeling with each other. It's like and they wouldn't be Morticia and Gomez if they don't be all over each other. Oh, Calamia. Tish, that's French. God, it's just, those two are so freaking funny. But and it's, of course it grosses out Wednesday, but this is the only interpretation I remember that I can think of that has Wednesday put off by Morticia and Gomez's affection. Every other interpretation, she doesn't incline to react or care, or is thinking like, oh, that's typical. But this is the only time you actually see like her kind of getting like disturbed by it, which is, you know, not odd, but it's kind of like, you know, you're not used to this by now. But she feels animosity towards her parents, especially after she finds out that, oh, you know, her father used to be accused of murdering a student back in the past, and later find out that, oh, you know, because this person didn't die by his hand as previously thought. He was under an influence of other stuff, and that caused his death. But upon learning from her mother that she has like this kind of psychic bond to her former ancestor named Goody Adams, who during a colonial period or whatever, the time where, like, you know, pilgrims were really like all over the place, this really wicked pilgrim was kind of like the leader of the town of Jericho back in the colonial period. Joseph Crackstone, who spent a lot of time, you know about those witch burning trial things. He just wanted to eradicate all supernatural kind of, you know, anybody ties with the supernatural kind of element that's not normal. He just all out, like, you know, burnt them in a stake, and he, you know, killed like a whole building full of like anybody tangentially associated with any supernatural kind of thing. And so Goody Adams is responsible not only destroying him, but put a curse on his soul altogether for good measure. But somehow there's this prophecy that he will rise again, and it's connected to Wednesday somehow. So oh, that was like one of my favorite moments. I think it's everybody's favorite moments of this entire show is when, now mind you, when this was being filmed, it was a little bit after the whole COVID situation, and it was still getting like, Jenna Ortega, little no fact, during the scene, during the iconic dance scene, and it was right around the same year when this show came out. It was the same year as what's that robot horror character Megan came out, and Megan made that stupid iconic dance move that was all over. I don't have TikTok, but it was like on social media. And Wednesday made an iconic dance, and Megan made the iconic dance, and it was like a whole thing. I like Wednesday dance because Jenna Ortega totally made that up on the spot, just random movements. And not only it was completely random because she didn't tell nobody because she still wanted to sing to play out the scene, but which is obviously wrong and irresponsible. But she made up this dance on the spot. Everything was completely random, and Tim Burton just ran with it, filmed it, and like all that stuff is like, so fun. And of course, it's like, oh my god, and it's doing this like this whole thing. It's just like the whole entire thing is just hilarious and fun, and like oh my god, I rewatched like a bunch of times. It was it was a hell of a lot of fun. It was during this whole like prom like situation at the school. So it was during this party when it's like, after she recruited Eugene and helping her trying to track down whereabouts or last known hideout of this creature, which would have been in this kind of cave. He gets injured in the process and bedridden. And little by little, Wednesday end up pushing a lot of people away because she's so gun-ho about finding out what's her place in this prophecy. If she's meant to destroy this school, who is this pilgrim? Who is this creature? But I mean, she got great investigative skills, honestly. But the whole thing with like Gomez and his like accusation of him killing his kid has all been resolved once they realize, oh, the previous mayor, because was the mayor, Mayor Walker, when he was sheriff, the mayor before him really had a bit of prejudice against outcast kids, and so the death of that kid was eventually kind of swept under the rug. It was a whole conspiracy, but it was not enough to really convict Gomez Addams. So, because the kid was like a stalker, he was like a thing from Morticia. She, rebuked his advances because she was into Gomez, and despite her going to the police, they chose not to believe her, which she points out in this whole line about like it's guys like you that makes it hard for women to be believed, which not as corny or heavy-handed like most other shows will probably make it, but then again, there is like a whole thing with like when women try to go to authorities about things that they want taken seriously. I want to say like, oh, believe all women, there should be an investigation, take it seriously enough to the point where it's like, hey, what's up with you? Are you stalking her? We can't like haul you in, but if you further do this, we will arrest you. or at least put in a restraining order or something like that, where it's like take it seriously enough to like, you know, warn the kid and like, you know, get a restraining order and stuff like that. So that way, Morticia and women like her can like move about in peace. But they managed to sort all that out. And Morticia and Wednesday have a more renewed sense of understanding between each other. And a whole, oh my god, I love this part when like they go on a case together and they gotta dig up the grave of the kid that died all those years ago, and Wednesday's the only one digging, and she looks up to her mother's like, so you're not gonna help? Oh no, darling, like you're doing such a wonderful job. I don't want to. It was like, get in your way. It just clearly she doesn't want to get dirty. It was just so, oh my god, that made me laugh. That was really good because like, yeah, that would make sense. Like I totally buy that from Morticia. So upon investigating the body, Wednesday understands like, oh, this guy was filled with like this particular poison. I'm not sure if it was nightshade or something like that. He was under influence of something. I'm surprised that bit of residue was still in, like, coated in the body in some kind of way. I guess still in the DNA upon death, I guess. But clearly, like, this kid was like, was the aggressor and Gomez was defending himself. But he wasn't ultimately one that killed him. But anyway, things started to escalate. Well, with the creature and also like this love interest, because she first was into Xavier, but she started to suspect him, given the fact that he keeps drawing these creatures that he never was in the same spot as the creature showing up, that you seemingly never met before, but you draw like a pretty accurate description of this creature. And because he has the ability to make things come to life, and he's drawing, he's painting all these paintings of Wednesday, was, I want to say make her uncomfortable, but it's just like, as something I got a note. But then there's also Tyler, who the barista that she does a thing for. But things escalate when you find out that it was the botanist, played by Christina Ricci, who was the one behind the creature attack, because this hide, thanks to Uncle Fester pointing out, like, the creature is a hide, because he knew a girl that he had a thing for many years ago, in Europe or something like that. During the play, she transformed into a hide, and only time hides emerge is under some kind of like influence from some level of hypnotic influence, or during like extreme stress or something like that. But it's typically there's like some kind of master controlling the hide creature. And so upon realizing those the botanist, because the headmistress, who isn't like, oh my god, it's like, this kid is driving me insane, I want to expel her, but because he's more concerned with trying to protect the kids of Nevermore and the school, because it's so important to keep this place alive and thriving. But she is at a wit's end with, especially after Eugene got hurt, she had a wit's end with Wednesday, but she trusts her enough upon shapeshifting to Tyler when she kissed Tyler one time, and she has like one of her psychic visions and seeing that it was Tyler, who turned out her, also had therapy sessions with Dr. Kimbot, and Kimbot ends up getting murdered by this creature. And because she was doing like a hypnotic therapy session, unknowingly unlocked the creature. And so now thanks to Eugene, when he woke up, noticed that at the base of the cave before it blew up, during a brief glimmer of light, saw that the mysterious figure was wearing red boots, and only person that Wednesday have seen wearing red boots was the botanist. So she has Weems shift into Tyler, while Thornhill completely confesses to everything. She ended up killing Weems, unfortunately. I thought that was kind of, was that necessary to kill off a headmistress, the headmistress who could have easily helped along with dealing with this situation. But she also kidnaps Wednesday, use her as a blood ritual, use her blood for the ritual because since he's directly tied to Goody Adams, needed her, bloodline to unlock the seal in order to resurrect Crackstone. Now, when watching this scene, I'm thinking like, what would you done if it was a whole thing where it's like, what would you done if Wednesday was never sent to the school? And it's like all your machinations hinges on the fact that one of the Addams family members had to be sent to the school. It's not like you manipulated scenarios to get the kids to go to the school. Because Wednesday only went to the school because she got expelled from a public school after the whole piranha situation. But it's just like, what would you done? Because she used to be related to the family of the kid that died after he fought Gomez all those years ago. Changed her name and infiltrated the school in order to destroy it from the inside out. But that hinges on you because you wanted to bring back Crackstone, your idol, because you had like a issue with the outcasts for what they did to your family, and by extension the school. But it's like, were you just needing if without Wednesday, were you just relying solely on the high to do something? And it's kind of coincidentally that you only start using the high now when Wednesday showed up. There's a little holes there, in my opinion, where it's like, what was your plan if Wednesday never showed? What would your plan be? Because I would have felt better if she had a hand in getting Wednesday transferred or something, instead of it being happenstance. And of course, High is taken down by Ingrid when she finally transforms and takes him out. It's a little loving moment when Wednesday, who's never been a hugger, hugs Enid, when they was worried about each other. Thanks to the help from Bianca and Xavier, they managed to Wednesday manages to take down the revived Crackstone thanks to the sword made from a particular metal. I'm assuming like iron, given the fact that he's technically a ghost-ish, but he's kind of like a ghoul. But I don't know, it has some kind of like a weakness to the particular metal to help take this guy down. Wednesday, the whole set masters ended early. Everybody's going home, and Wednesday getting picked up by the family. Xavier gives her a phone, given the fact that she doesn't like using technology because she doesn't want be enslaved by, technology. She had these mysterious text messages wondering like, oh, we got a new mystery going on. But oh yeah, and like Thornhill was taken down thanks to Eugene summoning his bees, and Wednesday knocks her out. She's hauled away to jail. Of course, things are probably, because reason why Tyler turns out to be the Hyde, because the sheriff hooked up with a woman who was also a Hyde that went to the school, and that's why he's wondering like, oh, he had this whole thing with his son because like the wife died. Was it because of the fact that she was a Hyde? Like, all these killings could have been my son. This whole whole thing, I guess, with denial of the fact that his son has some kind of issues that he's choosing to ignore instead of like talking with his son, help him go through the death of the mom. Like I said, could have helped a long way if he would have been a little bit more open with his son and helping him through his therapy and going closer as a family instead of like keeping him at a distance. That did not help, and which allowed somebody like Thornhill to manipulate the kid because he was in like an emotional state, a vulnerable state. So he's hauled away, and it's a little moment of him like eyes bugging into like Hyde like stuff, and it's like the whole look of the Hyde thing, the CGI is terrible in my opinion, but it's almost reminiscent to like the early first live action Scooby-Doo movie with all those like seemingly supernatural monsters, and it's kind of like that. Like the budget went to the way it needs to go to, but it's just like, I guess with this TV shows, it's Netflix. I mean, you could have a bit of more budget to make this Hyde creature look less stupid. And he trying to, circumvent the stupidness by making close-up shots to the thing's face, but it reminds me of one of those like that. Was it like a hedgehog or something like that from the honeycomb? That honeycomb cereal mascot. He kind of looks like that, and it's like that's why it took me out and less intimidating. But that pretty much is like the Wednesday show. Can't think of nothing else to say, but like I said, overall it's a great show. I love the atmosphere, everything involved in it. I like the actors fine. Like I said, kind of wish they needed to change gears, not lean into the whole romance between Wednesday or a love interest. Not her thing. It's not the kind of thing you expect from like an Addams Family type of show. Another thing, make Pugsley, give him more agency. Don't make him such a punk. And finally, I don't need any more of this Hogwarts stuff. And I think that's less likely to be listened to. I think they're gonna bring them all back to this Nevermore Academy, get a new headmistress or headmaster involved, but it's just like, oh my God, it's like I don't want these coming of age story playing the same beats with Goonies or Harry Potter. I think this is like you want like some kind of fast, quick setup instead of like put a little bit more energy into doing like a different type of coming of age story. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of the Netflix show Wednesday. How did you like it? what changes would you prefer to make that you did not feel all too comfortable with? Was, you know, aside from the Addams family members, which other character was a highlight to you? Kind of dig Xavier with this whole artistry and making things come to life. I really dig that character. I love Enid. Enid is very dope. I love because she's like the whole polar opposite. Her emotions are whole polar opposite to Wednesday. Very yin and yang kind of situation. You can tell just by the glass window of their room where one side is so colorful and the other side is just drab, and it's just like, yeah, it kind of got like a fun dynamic that's really dope, and I dig that friendship so much. And I love her facial expressions too. I don't know what it is. She had a bit more perkiness and fun. I think there's a right amount of perkiness. Anymore, it kind of takes me out. You know, I hate fake perkiness. It's like, oh my god, guys, like that attitude is like, you know, this is like a right amount of energy to that character that I really dig, and I keep that same energy. But anyway, I will see you guys in a few minutes. We'll have a movie review of Sleepy Hollow, once again directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. So I will see you guys in a few minutes for that. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of Wednesday and what you're looking forward to season 2. Take care.